I have a few slides. I want to build up on the comment that you made, but also build up on the comment how important collaboration is between the science community and actually the decision makers, people like Minister Kefalogiannis and people at the local level. So I want to sort of, in the little time that I have, touch on all of these. I want to say, for example, we were talking about, this is my favorite slide, about how much more frequent, storms and, flooding will be. This is the old port of Hania. This happens every 5 years. By 2050, this was assuming a 1.5 degree change in the average global temperature. Now it's going to happen every year, once a year. Now, most probably, we're going to see this much more frequent. And coming back to your point, Alastair, this is going to affect quite a bit the competitiveness, of the tourist product of a particular city. I want to talk about a success story and then talk about not success story about how when science collaborates very, very closely and when governments and local municipalities absorb disaster lessons, then we have really good results. What you see here is, for example, in Istanbul, they have tsunami warning signs, tsunami evacuation routes. I spent my life, I were different at the Academy of Athens, University of Southern California. I travel around the world. I was just in Istanbul on a Friday, and we were just looking at some of their maps and their infrastructure. This is a fantastic example when science works closely with local communities. We're assured there, there's a chance for a big earthquake, but the consequences and the economic consequences in the competitiveness are going to be less because exactly there is preparedness. Where the state of the art is, we had an earthquake in the Philippines actually on Friday. Within 10 minutes, this product was available, which is the tsunami forecast for the entire Pacific. The particular one was done on one of my PhD students. This is extremely standard. It's done. This happens. This has been a process over 30 years in the making, where as far as tsunami is concerned, we now have really a very, very effective warning system. What happens when you don't? Look what happened. These are two communities. It's very hard to differentiate. On the left is Mati, Greece. On the right is Lahaina, Maui. The difference is that there is 5 years apart. In Mati, there was absolutely no warning. 104 people died. Who would have believed that in a place like Hawaii and Maui, one of the most well-prepared places on Earth in terms of natural disasters, you were going to have 108 people dying in a very similar fire. Fire spread between about 2 hours from where it started to the beach. You can see it's very, very, the fire swept from an inside road all the way to the beach. I don't know why it doesn't advance. It did advance. I wrote a lot about this. I studied this. I went to Maui. I went in Hawaii. What exactly happened? Again, it was the failure of the connection. The science was there. The weather reports were there. It were not translated into actionable, into action by the local communities. Basically no warnings were issued. Who would have believed that, the United States, Maui was in 2023. We saw what happened in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles fires in January 2025. There were 17 people died in Western Altadena when there was no warning. There was a warning in the town of Eastern Altadena, that's north of Los Angeles. Nobody died there. For some, we know the reason. They just didn't expect the scale of the disaster. They didn't issue a timely warning. 17 people died. Who would have believed that in the summer, in an area in Texas called Disaster Alley, Flash Flood Alley, there is Camp Mystic. This is a summer camp. Hundreds of kids, about 68 young girls lost their life in the Mystic camp. Why? Because the warning was not implemented. The National Weather Service in the United States issued a warning. The local authorities, the warning didn't trickle down all the way to actually having, the people in the local authorities in Texas issuing timely evacuation warnings. In fact, by the time they got around to it, I mean, the camp had already been flooded. Probably kids, their bodies were found several miles downstream. Horrible disaster, but it shows you again what happens when there's no communication between, what scientists say and what local authorities implement, and of course with a big impact on the and this is my last slide, with a big impact in the local economy. So what I find out in my whole experience just studying in disasters in the last 30 years, what we need to do is we need to, and this is going to be my punchline, we need to act wiser and with fairness and faster. Typically, what happens, and this is an arbitrary scale, we have an extreme event. It takes scientists, people like me, a little bit of time, let's say in this particular scale, 10 minutes. In reality, it could be years until we understand what happened and we start explaining it, we publish our papers and we do this. And then it takes an equal time, whatever this time is, years, for the public opinion to understand what has happened and to get on board with it. Start pressuring local and state governments or even national governments. We need to take action. We were very lucky that in the case of Mati, at the time Prime Minister, was the leader of the opposition, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, understood that we needed the 1112, the emergency communication number. It was implemented in record time and government acted. But usually government acts last and way behind all the others, the extreme event, the science, and the public opinion. And in my view, this is exactly, an era of climate change where our windows of time are going to be smaller and smaller and smaller. We really need to eliminate this lag between government and public opinion and science. Government needs to act, as soon as science says it must act, and then we will have the best chance of actually limiting loss of life and economic losses.